Today, we're teaching on sonship. Today, I'm going to tell a story. I pray that the Holy Spirit really speaks through me. And I pray that you all get this story. It's a very impactful story. And I want you to, as you keep listening to the story, whatever part of the story you can relate to, I want you to take note. Okay? There was a rich man. There was a rich man. And he had a beautiful wife. Beautiful wife. They lived a really good life. Good life. Nice house, cars, servants, nice life. And then, God blessed them, and she got pregnant, and she got pregnant. And throughout the pregnancy, he babied her. She had also cravings. You know how to have cravings. She wanted to eat shrimps. She got shrimps, snails. She got snails. She wanted to do whatever it was. Husband just babied her really good. And then the day of delivery came, and they went into labor, into the hospital, and everything was fine. Everything was great till it was time to deliver the baby. There were a few complications. At first, it didn't look so serious. And then it got serious. And then it got serious. And he lost his wife. So baby was born. Mother was lost at delivery. So baby grew up with her father. He tried his best. He was loving, always there. He knew he was playing two parts. He knew he was playing father. He knew he was playing mother. That means that he knew he had to give her more time. He knew he had to be soft when he knew he could be harder because mom wasn't there to comfort. He just knew. And he tried his best. And then business took him to, everybody say South Africa, where he set up a really good business. Business was good. At this point, she was like 3 years old, 2, 3. Business was good. And he'd take care of her. He'd send money home. She was with family. And things were good. And out of nowhere, these xenophobic attacks started in South Africa. And he had a business on the main high street, doing well. But they came, burned down the business, killed people. Unfortunately, he was one of the people that was killed. So at this point, it took them a while to figure out who died in these attacks because nobody was sending information home. But little by little, the relatives realized that the money wasn't coming, the letters weren't coming, nothing was coming. And little by little, they started to treat her different. Where before she went to the same schools as her relatives and cousins, they put her in the cheaper school. They said money wasn't coming. After a while, they moved out of her room. There was a small room in the big cube. That's where she stayed. After some time, she was more like the help in the house. In fact, they tried to give her to some other uncle somewhere who wasn't willing to take her. In fact, they tried to give her to a number of relatives that wouldn't take her. Of course, she felt rejected. Of course, she felt abandoned. She remembered times when there would be gifts. She remembered where times there'd be phone calls. But as she grew older, that memory was getting fainter and fainter. So now she was 16 years old, 15, 16 years old. She hadn't done so great in school because of all the work she had to do at home. She wasn't being encouraged by anybody. she had no hope because just looking around her, it just didn't look like there was a future. And she was really being treated very badly at home. The word I would use is abused in all sorts of ways. In more ways than I could want to tell you from this platform. So one day, one of the kids in the house did something, and she was accused for it. Because obviously, at this point in time, whenever anything was wrong in the house, she was always, every finger looked at her like, it's got to be you. So she got beat up real bad that night. Got beat up really, really bad that night. And got locked out of the house. Told by her auntie to just go. Just go. Just go. We don't want to see you again. Just go. It's just a problem. To everybody, just go. So she goes. Of course she begs. She's crying. At this point, she's crying. And she's begging. But they weren't listening. Wandering through the night. You know how in every neighborhood you'll find some guys at the corner on the street, in front of the shop, who will try to talk to you, whistle at you, whatever. Ran into one of these guys who, I guess she felt she had no choice. So she went with him. Stayed with him for some time. But actually, he too wasn't nice at all. He raped her. He beat her up. But she stayed because she felt she had nowhere to go. After a while, she realized that nobody loved her. She realized that she's got to fend for herself. When the abuse got too bad, she ran from this guy. At this point in time, fending for herself meant stealing, prostituting, doing whatever she could to make some money. After some time, she ran into some other guy who seemed nice. Gave her compliments, bought her food, treated her good. So she ended up doing what? She ended up staying with this guy too. But not after long, she realized that he was always getting angry, especially when there was no money. He beat her up. He shouted at her. He was just a monster. And the next thing that she knew, like it was one thing led to another, but before she knew it, she was stealing to maintain the family. She was prostituting, and he knew, and he encouraged her to maintain the family. So, one day, she's in a shop. Of course, she was there to steal. And you know how these stores are? There's an aisle, there's another aisle, and there's a mirror on the wall. So she's here, but she's not seeing the mirror, but the man here is looking in the mirror and is seeing what she's doing. And she looks left, she looks right. She doesn't see anybody. So she looks and there's just nobody, so she grabs something, puts it under her blouse. And she's behaving like a customer. She's looking at some items and she's moving towards the door. And before she could go out, this elderly man comes and holds her by the arm. Firmly. She knew she couldn't get out of that grip. Just firmly. And she knew that today is today. You know, like that kind of girl, nobody to call, a police cell. You know, you could just be there for a long time. And only God knows what your eye will see. Who knows what I'm talking about? In police cells, with nobody to call. So he takes her to the front desk, to the cashier. And he gets there and she's like pleading and begging and crying. She's sobbing, everything. And the man puts his hand under her blouse, removes the item, puts it on the counter. And I was like, wow. And then he pays for it. He pays for it. He grabs her by the arm. He drags her out of the store. He steps out of the store. The policeman outside salute the guy. Only God knows who he is. I don't know why. And a big car pulls up. His driver. There's a little thing with the wings on the front of the car. I don't know what that means. But if you do, but there's a big car, leather seats. It's a Rolls Royce with the wings. That's how you know it. And he pushes her into the back and sits in the car. And the driver takes off. Tells the driver, let's go see my lawyer. At this point, she doesn't even know what to say. It's like, is this another level of oppression? Is this another level of abuse? You know, because that's all she's lived her life. At this point, she's like, she's not loving because she hasn't received love. She's not generous because she doesn't know where the next supply will come. At this point, she's just extremely fearful because she knows she's never had support. She's never had anybody fight for her. She's never had anybody speak for her. And they get to the office, and the man asks her out. They go upstairs, flight of elevators, into the lawyer's office. And the man calls his lawyer. She's sitting down there, and he tells his lawyer, I want you to drop the papers. I want to adopt this girl. Guy says, what? He says, yes, I want to adopt this girl. What's your name? So they fill out the forms, everything. And he adopts her. And then he tells her that, look, that store that I caught you in, I own it. The bank next door is mine. This building is mine. He says, I own a lot of businesses. Now I've given you my name. Wherever you go, use my name. That same store, go back there. Use my name. Take what you need. Right now I know you're homeless and you're smelling. You're dirty. Go to that block of flats. Use my name. Take a good bath. You have my name. I've adopted you legally. He signs the papers, gives her a copy, keeps his. He says, call me. I'm going to be around you all the time. I'm never far from you, but if you need anything, just call me. Okay? And the security outside, they're mine. If you ever get in trouble, call them. They'll get you out of it. Okay? He hugs her in a way that she's never been hugged before. Like she's never, ever been hugged before. And he gets up. He escorts her downstairs. She's on the sidewalk. He gets in the car. He smiles. And for the first time, she could feel like, it's like, this guy doesn't want to sleep with me. He's not trying to beat me. He's not trying to do nothing. And she could hardly believe it. And he waves, smiling. He drives away. She stands there like, was I dreaming? Was that for real? She looks at the paper. It's sealed. It has everything on it. And it's legal. And she's like, could this be real? Did you follow so far? Okay, now my question is this. At this point on that sidewalk, what choices does she have as to how to continue living her life? Now this is a question that we're all going to answer right now. Did you follow the story? So she's on the sidewalk. She's watching the Rolls Royce drive away. She has this paper in her hand. What choices does she have as to how to continue to live her life? Zenny, talk to me. Just one, because she has a number of options, but just give me one.
She can test the authority and power that's been given to her. So she can go to the apartment, try and get in, try and shower, use what this man has given her, and see if it works.
Do you agree? So basically, at this point, on that sidewalk, she has a choice of saying, you know what, there's this thing in my hand. I can, let's see if it works. And then go see. That's one choice. What other choice does she have?
She can say, oh, this is too good to be true, and go back to the way she was living before.
Exactly, clap for Emma. She can also look at the paper and says, all men are liars and rapists. This can't be true. Tear it up. And then go look for another store to steal from, not knowing where to sleep that night. Did you get that? Where we're going with this story is this. God has adopted us. I'm going to ask one more question. If truly she believed what that man did for her, there are a number of things that she could do. And there are a number of ways she can change. That's what we're going to discuss tonight. The number of things she could do and the number of ways she could change. And let's start to relate this to us before and after. In a few minutes, I'm going to read some passages that speak towards adoption. This story that you just heard is about adoption. Adoption. That when you've been adopted, you've become children. That no matter how rich that man is, his riches are yours. No matter what he owns, you've got access to it. Let's make this lively. How will this, what are the things you do, first of all, if you believed?
I take my copy of the adoption papers and go and secure a flat, a luxurious one.
Exactly, in his name.
In
his name.
Yes.
Fantastic. Where it's like, I am the daughter of this person, this is my proof, I know this is his, where's my room? Or where's my apartment? And I want a 4-bedroom. Right. Exactly. Not one, not two, 4 bedrooms. Fantastic. That's one thing you do. That's what you do. Good. Talk to me.
I would be full of joy and my countenance would change.
You'd be full of joy and your countenance because you've been fantastic. It says, the cattle on 1,000 hills are his. The silver, the gold are his. The hearts of the kings are in his hands to turn whichever way he wants, like a river. Which means he can bring you the favor of kings. He can give you the silver and the gold. You know who I'm talking about? Okay. Zenny, talk to me.
I would let go of the expectation that the life I've lived is the life I will continue to live.
Exactly, because everything is new. I mean, like, your story has changed. You know how people say, my story has changed. The day that you receive the adoption, your story has changed. You have access to the security, to the defenses. The soldiers, the policemen were his. The stores belong to him.
I was going to say something similar to what Zenny said. I think I would call up the rich man and tell him that I don't know how to be a daughter because I've had to fend for myself for so long. So he'll have to guide me and show me how to possess this authority in a new way.
I'll walk with my head up high because I've been redeemed from shame and reproaches, no more looking back.
Fantastic. You're going to walk with your head up high. Exactly. Because you're just no longer the girl that was abused yesterday. You're no longer the girl that was beat up yesterday. You're no longer the girl that was treated bad yesterday. Everything is new. You are not that. The adoption that you've been adopted has changed your story. It's changed everything. It's changed everything. It's changed. If only you would believe. If she didn't believe, she'd tear the paper up, and she will still tackle the problems she had the day before. Like the day before, no house, nowhere to stay, no love, no security, just unnecessary exposure, hunger, lack, many things. Now, she could easily go back to those things. And I'll tell you this, the expectations of those things will try to stay with her. She's got to be intentional about knocking it off and saying, no, I am no longer suffering in lack. No, I will no longer be raped. No, I will not be abused. No, I can't be homeless. No. Am I talking to somebody? It's got to be intentional because try to put yourself in her shoes. It happens suddenly. I mean, it's very easy that she could see some guys walk up and she's afraid. Because in the past, they just drag her away and her screams will mean nothing. But now, guess what? He said, the police is mine, that security is mine, just call them, you're good. But then, guess what? If she sees those boys, she could be afraid. But is that fear? Is that fear? Does it have any foundation in this time, in her life? I mean, in this perspective? No. I do have to talk to me.
I would show mercy to others because I know it's been shown to me.
Exactly. You're going to show mercy to others. And that's where she's going to be changing. You see, in the past, if she met a person that was struggling, she said, well, that's life. That's life. You know what? That's just life. And she just walk away. But now, guess what? That she's experienced something so drastic. At this point in time, will she be more generous with people? Will she, like in the past, she never threw anything away. And if you ask her for anything, she said, no, I don't have it. Why? She wasn't sure where her supply will come. She wasn't sure where her provision will come. So guess what? She would hoard things. Do you know what it means to hoard? She keep things. She keep things. She'll lie and hide things and keep. Because she has no idea when, she just has no idea. But do you realize that at this point in time, after she's tested it a few times, to see each time I go to the store, food comes, I have a new house, and when I call the police, they come and they sort me out. At this point, can she continue to be hoarding and stingy? At this point, she's generous. Because she has a father. Yeah, I said father, not a man. She has papers, adoption papers. Because at this point, she has what? A father. At this time, she is a what? A daughter.
It's possible it's happened so fast, the man didn't give me his address. I'm going to meet the lawyer, get a detail of everything the man has. Yes.
No, clap for her because it's in my notes.
Possibly
I'll
get the man.
The first thing is that you want to know his assets. And you want to know about him. You want to know about him and you need to know his assets. Because you are a daughter and it's your inheritance. If you don't know what your father has, how are you going to claim it?
Okay, then I'll
keep talking to me. Clap for her again.
I'll get the man's address. If I can't get it, I don't want a situation whereby I get in trouble with the police and the only thing I can access is the security. I'll make sure that agreement we signed is in my mind all the time. I'll make several copies, have IDs of it, go everywhere, think about it every day of my life.
Yes, because he changed your life. I mean, seriously, he changed your life. He changed your life completely. It would be foolish to forget anything about this man. I mean, I don't know if maybe I didn't tell the story well enough, but if you caught how the story went, and how suddenly there was an encounter. And then there was somebody claimed her. Somebody says, you are mine. Somebody said, you are mine. Do you know the Bible says this? It says, you are mine. I'll read you a verse here. Romans 8:15. For you did not receive the spirit of bondage again to fear, but you received the spirit of adoption. Did you get that? I hope right now this verse is now meaning something completely, totally different to you. That you have received the spirit of adoption by whom we cry, Abba, Father. It's like at this point in time, we have received a spirit of adoption that we no longer call him God. We call him Abba, Father. It's like beloved daddy. Do you get? Because at this point in time, knowing what he's done to you, if you call him God, it's like you don't even know what he's done to you. It's like beloved daddy, darling daddy. It's like wonderful daddy. That should be it. Just Abba, Father. Because you've received a spirit of what? Adoption. Tonight, the topic is adoption. I just mentioned it before, but it's adoption. Because we are sons by adoption. Amen?
After getting all the details I need about the man, like Sister Temi said, then I'm going to try to reach out to those people that has hurt me before.
Clap for her. Because that's in my notes as well. See, right now, in that journey, she met, you know how she was in one house, lots of girls there too, lots of guys there too, being abused. She was on the street, so she knows people, and this amazing thing happens, and she's tested it, and it's for real. The next thing is like, I have a father now. These are my papers. I see the life you're living, and I see your struggle. Come, let me introduce you to my daddy, because he will adopt you too, and your life will change. For real. Like we would not need to teach anybody evangelism if truly you're a son. Sons don't get taught evangelism. Sons evangelize just by the revelation of their sonship, just by the revelation of their adoption. It's like, I have a father. This is what he has done for me. My life is a testimony. I'm not telling you a single Bible verse. I refuse. But my life is a testimony. This is where I was. This is how I thought. This is how I'm thinking now. This is where I am now. Meet my daddy. Am I talking to anybody? Yeah. Anything more?
Yeah, I'll try and forgive them and introduce them to my father.
Exactly.
I'll be forever grateful to him.
And that's for real. It's like, where's the gratitude? See, there is something about believing. And that's why when Jesus was asked that, so what works do we do in the kingdom? He said, just believe. Because as she stood on that sidewalk and the car drove away, what was going to matter to make that encounter fruitful was if she believed or not. If she didn't believe, guess what? She'd walk back into that old life. If she didn't believe. That's the power of belief. Because now if she believed, then that paper, the word, this paper, the word, means something. The word means something. If we look at that, Ephesians 1:5, it says, having predestined us to adoption as sons by Jesus Christ to himself, according to the good pleasure of his will. I need to break this down. He's talking about God. It says, God predestined us, which means before the world was made, God had chosen that it is our destiny that we would be his children. That's predestination. It's like, so before you were born, God had decided in his heart that when I create these people, that I am going to adopt them. I am going to show up to them while they are in their mess, and I'm going to change their lives. I am going to give them what is mine, and what is mine shall become their inheritance. Does that make sense? That's what this word is saying. So God, having predestined us to adoptions as sons by Jesus Christ to himself. So God says, before you are created, that I am going to create A person called Torisha. Exactly. Okay, and when she's created, I am going to adopt her as my son through Jesus. That I am going to send my son, he's going to sacrifice his life, and when she believes in him, she is going to become my child. And as my child, she's adopted to me, and all that is mine is hers. I have access to her. I shall never leave her nor forsake her. That my plans for her are like amazing. That eyes have not seen, ears have not heard, that the heart of man has not conceived the amazing things I have in store for her. And I am a faithful God. I shall be by her. Predestined through Jesus. That's the importance of Jesus in our lives. It says, according to the good pleasure of his will. And God didn't do this because somebody put a gun to his head and says, you've got to do this. He says, according to the what? The good pleasure of his will. It's like God is happy to adopt me and you as sons. He is happy to say, what is mine is yours. See, it changes something in you. Seriously. When you know that what is his is yours. I don't know how to just say it. It allows you to walk towards some things with confidence. Just knowing that this thing I'm doing, because I am so thankful and grateful, I've stayed in touch with him. So I know his heart. Now that he has settled all my problems, my only desire is to do what he wants. Does that make sense? I mean, he sorted me out completely. So my only desire is to do what he wants. And because he loved me this much in my mess, I know that there's nothing he could ask me to do that wouldn't be for my good. Too many times we're afraid for what God might ask you to do. Then you don't make yourself available. But God created you. He knows what's in you. He knows what works for you. So whatever he asks you to do will work for you. You have the capacity. It will build you up for more. So your fear of not even making yourself available for him to use you actually keeps you down instead of keeping you up. Even you make yourself not available, you do it because you're trying to get up by yourself. Does that make sense? So this God is an amazing God. What have we learned? Personally, like for me, in my life, what have I learned? Chumai.
I learned from this story that when he held her hand and took her to the office and all of that, he didn't ask her why you're in this mess, where are you coming from, what's your story, what have you done, why are you like this. He just adopted her like that. And to me, if God can take me anyhow I am and bring me out of sin, I think I will be better. I want to be better. Because if he loves me in that state, then how much more would he love me when I'm now better off?
Now, did you just get that? He paid the price of her sins. He could have taken her there and judged her and got her in trouble. But he got to the counter and he put his hand in his pocket. He paid the price. He set her free and then he adopted her. Did you get that? No questions asked. And that's God. That's God. Who's Vicky?
I would say that if I'm honest with myself, I can recognize a bit of myself in this girl, in this story, in that even though in the ideal world we would want her to do all these great things, she might not, and if I were her, it would take me time to get there. So in other words, I never fully come into the complete realization of God's love for me and what he's done for me. So it's a continual process of coming into this identity that he's actually my father and he owns everything and I'm his daughter and I have access to it. So I'd be thirsty and hungry to learn more and grow closer to him.
I like that because there's a reality in that. The issue is this. She had, at this point in time that she had this encounter, she was like, 16 or 18? Something like that. Now she's had many years of struggle. Like her reality to that point was a harsh reality. Dry, no love. no protection, complete exposure to the world. So now that this has come, truly, the past, the hurt, the pain, her responses to the hurt and the pain, her decisions, that her value system that was created by that whole process, years long, would still be in place. It would have to take a continuous just reaffirming. It's like you would need to meditate over that document for a long time for it to sink that I have a father. I have a father. No, it takes some time before you start walking the walk. But when you start walking the walk, he will amaze you. He'll amaze you.